Hey folks, I don't even know where to start with this today. So I have to choose my words carefully here because I got an email or a message from a student about an assignment earlier, either last night or earlier this morning, probably late last night. Obviously, I can't, give too much personal information because there's privacy issues at hand. But the gist of it was that the student was voicing some frustrations with the current assignment. And just to catch you up to speed, with distance learning this year, we're finishing out the year with distance learning. In woodshop, the next best solution that I could come up with, given my skills and resources, was have students do modeling, 3D modeling and project planning with SketchUp, which we had access to. And for some kids, it's been a really good year. They've done very well with it. And, SketchUp, we could say it's been fairly successful. Even some kids who, were kind of shaky with the platform were doing okay. But obviously it wasn't working for everybody. Some students tried their best and were turning in the assignments and, not doing a spectacular job, but they were putting in the effort and trying. And I've been trying to take that into account. This is a crazy year. This is the first year that I've taught in this particular way before. So when grading assignments, I basically set up my rubric so that the grading is very, should we say, forgiving. It's set up in a way that, basically turning in your work is gonna get you the majority of the points, like the 60 or 70% that you need. And then the rest of it is the details, And so the way that I was looking at it, one, we're dealing with unprecedented times where, some students are gonna have just very unique challenges with even accessing the curriculum. Even though we have devices for all students, or at least devices available for students, not every kid was actually going in if they needed something and picking up the device they need. And we had office hours, even though not every kid was coming in to the office hours. We have email contact, even though not every kid is taking advantage of that. And there's a lot of questions in my mind that will probably never be answered that center around questions of, is this something where a student doesn't actually get it and needs help and wants help and is either too afraid to ask or unable to ask, or there's some barrier in the way of them reaching the success that they need to or getting the help that they need to, versus is this a student who is just completely checked out and is not going to be available, not going to succeed, not going to try? And I know that I have both types of students, and I'm not making a value judgment on this particular student. In fact, I would say the fact that this student actually bothered to message me and has been messaging to try and get help says that he is definitely this student is definitely in the former group. One who's just unable to grasp the lessons here. Now, I haven't gone in and this morning gone in and looked at what the student has achieved in the past, in past assignments. I'm assuming if I recall, it's been okay. So I get the sense that the student is just generally frustrated with the platform, with SketchUp in general. This is our last assignment. I believe he's been turning in the work, in which case he shouldn't be getting an F, right? Shouldn't be getting an F. It's not going to be getting an A, but shouldn't be getting an F. But he was frustrated and expressed that, well, I guess I was asking for help in class yesterday when he was, and I'm still frustrated with this, and I guess I'll just take the F. And I want to tell this kid, I am going to tell this kid when I get a chance, that, well, you don't get an F when you turn in your assignments. Okay, that's the whole point of me grading and having a rubric and doing it the way that I do, is because I don't want people to feel like they are going to have to take an F because they're trying, but it's not coming out the way that they want it. What kind of message does that send to any aspiring creative person if we tell them that, okay, yeah, you tried, but you didn't get the right answer, you didn't get it perfect, so you get an F? I mean, there's certain situations where, you know, the result has to come out right. You know, if you're a professional and you're working a job and there's a right way to do it, you have to do it that right way. Otherwise, it's a failure. Of course, yeah, we know that. There's situations where that happens. There's plenty of opportunity to teach that lesson. But I feel sometimes like we overemphasize perfection and underemphasize the idea of letting kids try things out and make mistakes and giving them room to sort of figure out the ups and downs of a project. So that's what I've been trying to do. I don't know if I've been successful or not. It's a constant reevaluation process. One that never really ends, and it never should end. You know, if you're a teacher, if you're an educator, if you're a parent, really, you should constantly be reevaluating your methods. This year has been really weird because we're not likely to get a similar experience next year. When you first start teaching, the first couple of years are just are just insane. You don't feel like you're doing a good job. You feel like you're just failing at everything. And that's okay. That's expected. Or at least it should be expected. If it's not expected, then whoever's evaluating you they don't know what they're doing. Because you're learning a lot about how to do this crazy job. It's the quote goes, and I forgot who said it, so sorry about that. But teaching is like flying a plane, or learning to fly a plane while also building a plane, and that's very true. They just kind of throw you into it. But the thing about this year is that we're not going to see this again. I hope. Knock on wood. I hope, I don't want to jinx it. I hope we're not going to see something like this again. In a normal year, you do some curriculum, you have some successes, you make some mistakes. It is what it is. You reflect on that, and then next year you tweak it. You do something a little bit different, and you see what works and what doesn't that time. With any luck, we're not going to see this again next year. So it's going to be a lot more difficult for me to make those tweaks and make, I can reflect a little bit on what went well and what didn't, but it's going to be very difficult to get all that much benefit, as much benefit out of it as we possibly could, because it's not going to be the same situation next year. I hope it's not going to be the same situation next year. So there's the frustration in that sense is that it's kind of a lack of closure, you know. Sure, there were plenty of mistakes were made, you know, students, teachers, administrators, school districts, we all tried our best. Some of us tried harder than others, and we got varying degrees of success, and it was unprecedented time. So all of that was to be expected. But the lack of closure comes in that, as a teacher, you want to be able to try it again next year. It's like, all right, well, if we have the same situation again next year, I'm ready to go. I know what worked. I know what didn't. I'm going to fix this. I'm going to get this. I'm going to do it right this time. We're not going to get that chance. It's going to be, hopefully, it's going to be back to the way it was 2 years ago, where we're starting a new school year with back to normal, which means I'll have to dust off all my old teaching practices and put them to use. But back to the student, I feel his frustration because here's something that's completely wildly outside of his comfort zone, something that he did not sign up for. And I do teach SketchUp in my regular classes during the normal school year, but it's definitely not all year. It's not a design course exclusively. We do some art and design, we do some woodworking, we do some tools, we do some career building, but it's not exclusively design projects like it has been this year. And that's one of my failings, is that I don't have enough experience, especially doing stuff like this. Most of us don't have experience doing stuff like this constantly for a whole year. I don't have enough experience as a teacher to teach an online class and vary it up enough so that students with different abilities can get what they need. If I had to do this over again, I'd still do the SketchUp. I mean, for sure. But I would try and do a better job of bringing in other types of curriculum, other types of material, other programs. That's my reflection on this year. Because the problem is that while SketchUp works for a fair number of students, and it kind of works for a few other students, it just completely does not mesh well with certain students. And so if you're one of those students who, if you took woodshop and you would just, you can throw together a birdhouse, you can use a table saw, you can use all the tools and do a great job with it. You're working with your hands because that's how your brain's wired, right? You do fantastic in woodshop. But that same student who just does not have that computer proficiency, judging them for their woodshop grade based on their computer proficiency, it seems wrong. It seems off. That's my reflection for the year anyway. As for that kid in particular, I feel his frustrations. I'm frustrated too. I'm pretty certain he's not getting enough. Pretty certain. I have to go back and look at his grades, and I wouldn't tell you even if I could, because that's his business. That's between me and him. But I'm pretty sure that he's doing okay. And that's what I really want. I set out when we first started this year, I knew that some kids are going to have trouble with SketchUp. It wasn't going to be second nature to all of them. So we did have some other assignments in there. A lot of YouTube videos. But some other assignments, some skill building, some project planning, all the things that go around are sort of adjacent to actually building stuff without actually building stuff being in the shop, because we couldn't. So we did a little bit of that. But one thing that I ended up doing was just making it so like, hey, you're trying the SketchUp projects. You're making an attempt. You turn it in on time. You're going to get your passing grade. So I do have some kids who, they're not the greatest SketchUp users. Probably never will be. But that's okay. They tried it. They did the work. They put in the effort. They learned the vocabulary. They learned some lessons from it. Even though the end result wasn't perfect, hey, they're better off than they were before. It's the kids who didn't bother. It's the kids who didn't turn things in on time or regularly or sporadically or maybe turned in every other assignment. Those are the kids with the Fs. And that's just kind of how I grade in general. If you're turning in work, you're not going to fail my class. Doesn't have to be good work. Doesn't have to be great work. But if you're putting in a minimal amount of effort, we'll say minimal amount of effort, if you're putting that in, then you're passing my class with usually a C-. Our district considers Ds good for high school credit. I know it's not good for college credit, but you know, it is what it is. It can't be too hard on the kids. Not everyone's going to college, and that's okay. C's get degrees, right? So that's been my philosophy for some time now, is that if you you turn in work, you turn in all your work, you're not failing my class. You know, it's an elective class. It's woodshop. It's not that serious. It's as serious as you want it to be. Yeah, I'm frustrated though, because the end is in sight. We're less than a month away from the end of the school year, from summer. And hopefully we can all have a big reset in the fall and get back to normal or close to normal. We just need to finish strong is all. That's all we got to do. I'm going to leave it at that because I'm going to keep rambling about how frustrated I am. That's not going to help my mental health. So I am looking forward to the end of the school year and looking forward to starting summer. And I'm looking forward to a big reset in the fall. And I hope you are too. Peace out.